got to share something with you. I'm not quite sure where to begin or how to piece it all together, but here goes. I was getting ready. It's Sunday afternoon. I was getting ready for a peaceful day of just reading, just relaxing. So I got my Bible. I got a book that I've been reading by John MacArthur called 12 Ordinary Men. It's about the apostles. And I got a fiction book that I read years ago. And I was praying before I got started reading. I said, God, I just want to have this time in this afternoon to just read, learn about you. So I was just praying and asking him to bless my time of reading and to speak to me. And I felt this check in my spirit when I said that. It was almost as if he said, why should I speak to you? You didn't do what I told you to do the last time I spoke to you. And I just kind of stopped right then and there because I knew that was true. Was it God speaking to me? Was it my guilty conscience? Not 100% sure, but it just made me pause. Like, really, why? Why should he? Because the Bible says that obedience is better than sacrifice. So it's pretty important. And so I got to thinking about that for a minute, and I thought, sometimes obedience itself is the sacrifice. Because it's one thing to obey when you're told to do something that you don't mind doing or that you enjoy doing, but to obey when it's something that you don't want to do. In my situation, that's what it is. Sometimes doing what you were told to do when you don't want to do it is the sacrifice. And then it came to me, well, yeah, Alyssa, that's what submission is. Submission. I really felt drawn by that word, so I did a little search on my digital Bible because my iPad was not too far away. So I opened up my Bible app on there and I searched for the word submit. And it came out in the ESV version. The word submit comes up 11 times. And of course, we think frequently when we hear submit, we think of wives submitting to husbands. And of course, that's in this day and time, we don't want to think about that. That's a topic for a different day. But in looking at the different places where the word submit comes up, the very first one on the list is in Genesis. And it's where God tells Hagar to return to her mistress and submit to her. Now, if you're shaky on Bible characters and who they are, let me remind you that Hagar is the woman that was the servant of Sarah. Remember, God had promised Abraham that he would be the father of many, and they were old, and Sarah was trying to help the thing happen because it had not happened yet. So she said, here, why don't you just take my servant, go sleep with her, and you'll have children with her that way, and that way you can have children, trying to help God do his own thing. Right? So that's a mistake right there. Second of all, you're going to give your husband another woman. You think that's not going to come up with some problems? Okay. So it did. Abraham, bless his heart, he listened to Sarah and did what she said. This is just a whole big basket of mistakes right here. But anyway, Abraham did what Sarah said, slept with Hagar. Hagar ends up pregnant. And Hagar, the Bible says that when Hagar realized she was pregnant, that she looked at Sarah with contempt. Well, that didn't sit well with Sarah. Sarah complained to Abraham. Or at the time it was Sarah and Abram. He says to her, she's your servant, do what you want to do. So she ended up treating Hagar harshly, and Hagar ran away. And when she runs away, she's out in the wilderness. She stops by the spring of water, and she's crying out to God, and God hears her. And God speaks to her and says, where have you come from and where are you going? And she tells, why she's out there. And he tells her to return and submit. She just got given to this man like she's a piece of property. She's been slept with. She's been impregnated. She's been treated harshly. She's run away. And God's advice to her is go back and submit. At first, that seems a little, but think about this for a moment. Her biggest problem in the situation came from the fact that she looked on her mistress with contempt. Whether it was, look at me, I got pregnant and you good at cockiness, or whether it was, I can't believe you put me through this. I am now signed up for 9 months of suffering and then childbirth because of you. What kind of contempt was it? It doesn't specify. But either way, she's in a situation where she's a servant and she's looking at the person that she's supposed to be obeying and doing what she's supposed to do for, and she's looking at that person with contempt for whatever reason. That was a problem. Instead of her being a submissive servant or saying, I can no longer be your servant, goodbye, she stayed in that situation and had a haughty attitude with it. And that caused Sarai, to treat her badly, to the point that she wanted to run away. So the problem stemmed from, yes, mistakes made by Sarai and Abram should have been made. But Hagar's problem was that she got haughty in her position and she ran away. And God said, first of all, you want me to hear you. You want me to see you. I do. But the first thing you have to do is you have to go back and you have to submit. You have to bend your will to another's will. That's tough to do. But he told her, when he told her to go back and submit, he said, I will make your son a nation of his own. He's going to have many descendants. He gave her that promise after he told her to go back and submit. He said, go back, submit, and I will do this. Well, here's the thing. The place where she's at, the spring of water, it says that it's on the way to Shur. And so I was looking at the name Shur. What does that mean? Because, in our English, S-U-R-E, sure, I'll do this. Sure, I can be, you can be assured that something has happened when someone says sure. And so I was thinking, well, it's not spelled the same, and it's not the same language. This is English, that was Hebrew. Let's, look into this. So I looked it up. What does sure mean? Sure means wilderness, or a set apart place, like a barred off, almost a picture imprisonment type of a thing is what I thought of when I was reading the definition. She was running and she was on her way to a place of wilderness and being barred off and separated and isolated. And she cried out to God, and he heard her and he saw her. He told her that he would, if she would submit and go back, he was going to make her son the father of many. And he told her to name him Ishmael. God gave him the name Ishmael. Ishmael means God will hear. Something about that just touched me. When you're in your place of wilderness, when you're on your way to being to a point of being set off and isolated, God sees you. God hears you. But in the midst of that, he tells you to submit, to be obedient. Obedience is better than sacrifice. That's what Samuel told Saul when Saul was doing things his own way. He was going to go make the sacrifice according to the way he wanted to do it instead of waiting to do it the right way. And Samuel said obedience is better than sacrifice. You see, a sacrifice is something that you give up. In their case, it was sacrificing animals. Nowadays, you and me, we might sacrifice our time, or we might sacrifice, giving something up that we treasure. But obedience, especially in those moments when you don't want to do it, it's better than when you give up those things that mean a lot. You see, there was somebody else that was obedient. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus prayed. He wanted to not have to go to the cross. You know, Father, if it be your will, let this pass from me. But he said, nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. It was in the Garden of Gethsemane. While I'm looking up names, Gethsemane, I looked it up. It means oil press. It's a place where Jesus was pressed. He was crushed, like olives being crushed for oil. A crushing of your own will, because you're so devoted to the one who's asking you to do something else. And that is more precious than sacrificing physical things. It's crushing your own will to submit to the Father's will. You see, she was in a place, a spring in the wilderness on the way to Shur, and the Bible says it was located between Kadesh and, I have a hard time pronouncing, Bered, B-E-R-E-D. Kadesh means holy. Bered means hailstorm. She was situated between holy and hailstorm, which is destruction. I've frequently said that whenever I'm dealing with some of the things that weigh me down, that it feels like I'm just being pounded, like I'm being poked, prodded, or another symbol that would work is being in a hailstorm where it's just all falling on you and everything that hits you hurts. That's where Hagar was. Between a place of holiness and destruction, she's in a wilderness, on her way to Shur, on her way to a place where you are barred off, walled off, isolated. And she cried out to God, and he heard, and his word to her was submit. Obey. Obey when it's sacrificial. And for me, in that moment where I was feeling convicted of not having done what I was told to do, that meant something to me. You see, the thing that I was told to do was to make a video. Several weeks ago, I was prompted in my spirit to make a video, and I did not want to make a video because so many people make videos these days. I don't want to put a video out there of myself like I'm trying to be some kind of content creator. That's not who I am. It's not what I do. However, I started making videos back during COVID, and I stopped because somebody else was doing it better than me. God told me to do something, and I stopped because somebody else was doing it better. That's not a reason to stop. For a very long time, he let me stay there. But recently, I felt prompted to make another one, and just when I was feeling that prompting, somebody else that I know started making videos. And I thought, I don't want to be a copycat. No, I'm not doing it. Trying so hard to live in obedience to God, but here it is. He tells me to do something, and I said, no, I'm not doing it. So for the past few weeks, it's been rather difficult for me to read my Bible and hear from God because I wasn't submitting. Whenever I would pray and I would be reading anything else, whether it was my Bible or, like I said, the book by John MacArthur about the apostles, I'm reading and I've just, all of a sudden, boom, there's that thought, you didn't do what I told you to do. So here I am, making a video, and a rather long one at that. But I had to get it all out there. I had to get all the things that were coursing through my mind and all the things that I had read about and Googled and searched and understood. I had to get it out there before I lost it all. And I figured I would make a video because, well, that's where it all stems from. So, yeah, obedience is better than sacrifice. Obedience when you don't want to do it is submission. There is blessing in that. God sees you. God hears you when you're crying out in your wilderness, when you feel like you can't do what it is you've been put in the position to do. But when you listen and when you obey, there's blessing in that. She was given a son. He'll be the father of many. And in that time, that was a great blessing. So, yeah. Here's to obeying, even when you don't want to. That's the way I see it.